I'm here today with Professor Rene Schmidpeter. Welcome, it's great to have you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You're an international and well-recognized expert regarding sustainability. To get started, we are in beautiful Cologne. Do you prefer the city or the countryside?
Oh, actually both is very nice. The countryside, of course, you can relax and you can go to the mountains or to the sea, whereas in the city you have more the cultural life, you can meet people. So actually I would not like to miss any of this.
Fully understand. Well, there were lots of news lately regarding climate change effects, weather events negatively happening. Hearing all this, are you more realist or an optimist regarding sustainability and where we are heading?
I've always been an optimist because I think if you want to lead other people and if you really want to change things, there's no other choice than being optimistic.
Sounds good. And changing is all about getting into implementation. Are you more a strategic planner or are you a doer type of person?
Actually both. I like developing strategies, but I also like implementing and doing things. So that's why sometimes I miss time, because of course you cannot do both at the same time. So this is why I'm sometimes working on the weekend and even in the evening. So because I really like doing both, and the day only has 24 hours.
Yeah, sure. Which brings me to my first question. I mean, sustainability is also about implementing strategic concepts. And what we have seen is that Germany is very good in strategic planning, but that two ministries, the Ministry of Construction and Transport, have missed their climate targets for 2021. In your opinion, what is the reason for this, and why is Germany and those ministries, why are they struggling so much achieving their sustainability/climate targets?
So we not only miss it today, I think we missed out the last 20 years, so to say, that already by then it was pretty clear that we need to transform our society. Especially in the last 10 years, not much happened, and I think it's mostly related to the mindset, because people still see a trade-off between sustainability and profitability. They see it like you can either be profitable or sustainable, and also the politicians somehow have this kind of trade-off thinking. If you look on the different political parties, they are arguing, should we become sustainable or economically successful? And I think this is a wrong question, because we need both, and this is kind of having a new mindset. So I hope that the younger generation now is really bringing in this new mindset to the discussion, and that we are getting much faster to transform our society.
So I hear there is hope, but I also hear that you say that sustainability needs a willingness for transformation, that we not only do things better, that we do things differently. But to what degree are we ready, as the German or European economy, ready for transformation and not just optimization?
Maybe it's not a question whether we are ready or not. I think in history transformation just happens. And if you look how we went from an agricultural society to an industrialized society, I think most of the people also were not ready for this, but we somehow achieved it. And now we are actually at a similar point in history where we have to go from an industrialized society to a sustainable knowledge society. And I think this is still not really understood by everyone, that it's really not only changing things, it's really about transformation, and that's much more than change.
Are there certain industries or sectors who are already doing good in overcoming this integration challenge? And I'm also asking, we are in the mobility and transport sector, and it's sometimes said, especially this sector is lacking behind regarding sustainability. So where do you see where we are standing regarding transportation and mobility with this integration challenge?
There's different industries, and most of the time you need kind of a problem, like if an industry comes into a problem like the mobility sector or the energy sector right now, this gives you the window of opportunity to really change things, because as long as you keep on successful with the old-fashioned business models, people don't understand that they need to change. But once the old-fashioned models are not working any longer, because new markets are deriving and new customer wishes are changing the demand, or now we see also the international supply chains breaking, or you see the inflation, we see the limited amount of energy we now have. So this is all, I think, a good driver of change. So unfortunately, sometimes we only learn it the hard way. But there's, of course, also other examples of industries who are very proactive. For example, in the field of digitalizations, young startups, also in certain fields of biochemistry. So whenever there's some new innovative industries, they are more also into sustainability. And this already shows sustainability is actually a driver for innovation. So it's not also a contradiction. So the more innovative our industry is, the more they also focus on sustainability. And the more they focus on sustainability, the more innovative they are. And in the mobility sector, you can see both at the same time. You still see some struggling and trying to somehow keep the old business models, like building big cars and trying to find customers for it. And others are already going a step further and building platforms, how to share cars, new electric mobility, automotive driving. There's a lot of innovation, but it mostly comes from, I would say, smaller, medium-sized enterprises who really need to change, because that's the only way how they will survive in the future.
Interestingly, you mentioned digitalization as a keyword, and probably could you elaborate a little bit how you see sustainability and the topic of digitally? Do they go hand in hand? Do they run aside? What's your view on this?
As said in the beginning, we see this kind of crossroad from the industrial society entering into sustainable knowledge society, and that means you cannot have the one or the other. So it's basically you need both. You need the digitalization, but you need it in a sustainable way. So what does this mean? It means we can use digitalization to make our processes, products, business models more sustainable. Yeah, we can, for example, control the supply chain much better than in the past. We can also find better ways to the customer. We can also, of course, use big data and also artificial intelligence to get to new ideas how to make things more sustainable. But at the same time, digitalization is not a or a goal in its own. Yeah, so we really have to be careful that we also reflect ethically what we are doing when we are digitalizing things. And that's why we need also kind of a responsible digitalization. We need responsible AI, responsible big data. And this is where all intermingles. It merges together. And in the future, we will see a lot of responsible, digital, circular business models. So it's becoming all one. But of course, you need different competences, and we need also this kind of teamwork in developing this new kind of business models and strategies.
Looking at the organizational setup in companies, in my role as a sustainability manager, do you believe that such departments, persons are still needed in the future, just asking difficult questions, really pushing the topic forward, or are we also heading towards what you mentioned, an integration where everything's circular, working hand in hand?
So studies do show that we need much more people who are aware of sustainability and have knowledge. So for those who are already in the field and know about sustainability, I think they are very much needed. But I think their role will change. So in the past, it was more kind of a add-on. So you were somehow responsible for sustainability, which I think doesn't work. How can one person or one department be responsible for sustainability? So this would be this kind of add-on thinking, like a backpack. So this is, I think, belongs to the past. In the future, it's more that the role of a sustainability manager will be to be part of the team which is developing the corporate strategy and brings in the sustainability perspective, as a chief digital officer brings in the digitalization perspective. And we need to get from a sustainability strategy towards a sustainable corporate strategy. And I think this is a big change. And that makes the role of people with this kind of knowledge even more important in the future. And I think this is really where it's heading to. We see a much more integrated perspective on sustainability, which is good.
Yeah, happy and relieved to hear this. At DKV Mobility, one of our key strategic priorities is called Leading Green. And of course, our job is also embedding this into our day-to-day business. Imagine the situation, you would be starting working with a company, also convincing them about sustainability. How would you start? What would be your first actions?
I think first of all, you need to understand this is basically not a trade-off. Yeah? So trying to convince as many middle managers about this, that sustainability, profitability, competitiveness go together very well. And second thing, I think a mistake what is done quite often is to think about sustainability as balancing. Yeah? So you have this topic, we need to balance the different dimensions, economic, social, environmental dimension, somehow balancing. But the problem with balancing is it's still kind of trade-off thinking. Yeah? You can have a little bit more of this, a little more of that. So it's really important to get this systemic integrative perspective that it's basically a co-evolutionary approach. So you can only develop your economic success by being more social. This means also being more environmentally friendly, and that also means maybe to have more knowledge and have more knowledgeable companies. So it's basically kind of you need economic success to lead to environmental success, leads to social success, this leads to more knowledge, knowledge leads again to more profitability. So it's really like an unfolding process. And this is different thinking, like the one-dimensional financial thinking we had in the past, where we were always trying to maximize one single thing, mostly profit. And now many wonder why it's not working anymore, because it's under complex looking at the challenges we have right now.
Especially looking at the challenges of the transport sector. Of course, we don't have a crystal ball, but there's lots of things happening with the new legislation coming in via the European Green Deal. I think we are very aware of the Paris Climate Agreement targets. What do you think specifically where this sector will be heading in the future? We are still very much relying on the traditional way of transportation.
So mobility as such is a thing which is very important for society. Yeah? We need to transport goods, we want to travel. So
yeah, mobility is life.
It's part of our life, and it really should appreciate mobility. And all the studies also show that mobility in the future will further rise. So there will be not a way where we reduce mobility. That would be not good for a free society, open society. So we need to find ways how we can have more mobility, even more mobility, more freedom, more ways to move goods and also travel, but at the same time try to decouple it from unsustainable energy use. Yeah, I think this is basically this kind of trade-off we have to overcome. So we have to not reduce mobility, try to find ways to have sustainable mobility which is overcoming this old dependency on fossil fuels and all those kind of old-fashioned industrial things. And that will be a challenge, of course, yeah.
Yeah, often people also say, well, sustainable behavior is personally sacrificing things. What's your opinion on this?
Obviously not, because sacrificing is not sustainable. Yeah, if you sacrifice profit, it's not economically sustainable. If you sacrifice a good life, it's not good for your social and psychological mind. So we really should see that the future has so many opportunities, so many positive ways how we can live in the future by using technology, but by also using our mind and developing new businesses, that we should not only look at the resources, we also should look at the opportunities. And I think this is a change of perspective. So if you look at the opportunities we will have in a sustainable future, in the future, society in the future, this will really lead to not sacrificing, it will lead to a better life with less resources and also a lot of business opportunities. So I think sustainability is really becoming the biggest business opportunity of this millennium.
So, and also thinking it in a very positive fashion. So I hear sometimes also it's put a more negative tag on it. And as you say, thinking in opportunities, new business models, and being optimistic, that also it's a kind of survival, good survival strategies for companies to think about sustainable business models.
Fear is never a good advisor, as we learned also the last couple of years. We really need to have a positive leadership, which is also purpose-oriented. So we have to give the people some purpose, also the businesses. What is the purpose I'm standing for? What is my goal? And it should be always serving other people, serving the society, developing new, also positive impact. And that's the second dimension. We really should not only think about profit anymore, we really should see the overall impact of a company. Yeah? What is the social, environmental, the knowledge impact? And by seeing this, we really can transform our business models in a way where we still make a profit, even more profit is possible, but at the same time have positive impact for our environment and for the world. And this is giving a lot of purpose, so the people will be much more motivated. You will attract employees, you will get enough investors who are looking for this kind of business models. So I don't see why sustainability should be sacrificing. It's rather the opposite.
All of us can drive the transition towards more sustainable, efficient future, that we can all play our active role. I have lots of people telling me while sustainability is sometimes really complex, it's such a wide topic, it's not just environmental, it's also social, governance subjects. Do you have an advice or some good tips for people immersing into sustainability, favorite books, podcasts you're listening to?
So first of all, I think you mentioned something very important, complexity. So we learn that our world is much more complex than in the past. So there's no easy solution. So we have to find a way how to manage complexity. And this can be done by value and by clear purpose-oriented actions, because we have too many possibilities. So we really should define ourselves and from the inside to the outside. So not just listen to the advice, because everyone now gives some advices to everyone. So we really should learn to develop sustainability from your own perspective. So what is your belief? What is the purpose of your company? Which kind of impact you want to create? And then form a strategy and act according to it. Secondly, of course, you mentioned the second thing, that we have a big challenge, which is educating and reskilling a lot of managers. There was a study done 2 years ago which said within the next 5 years we have to reskill 50% of all our managers worldwide. And this already shows that sustainability is not so much an environmental issue, it's really an educational issue. So we really need to educate and bring this new kind of knowledge to the people, to the managers. And you also asked where I do get my knowledge. It's mainly by publishing books. So with lots of experts, managers, academics all over the world, we roughly publish 10 books a year. And I already can see from year to year new knowledge arising. So there's lots of knowledge out there. And the point really is now to get a focus. And also combine it what you already know. So it's not so much that you should know everything about sustainability or that you need everything about sustainability. We need managers who know very much about their discipline, but integrate this new kind of social, environmental knowledge perspectives to their unique discipline. And that's what sustainability is now different than in the past. Sustainability is not a discipline on its own right. It needs to be reintegrated into management science. It's not only about an individual transformation, it's really transforming systems, transforming companies and the society as such. And this is a collective process, and the more really get into this kind of topics, the better it is, because we need also the knowledge of all people. So it's not that we need somebody who knows about sustainability telling us where to go, but we really as a society or as a company need to discuss it broadly and integrate it in every single question we are facing.
Yeah, very interesting approach also that you say it's now not I'm spending an hour of my day to think about a sustainability strategy, that is just the fashion, how I'm doing my daily job. So I'm thinking about it basically all the time when I'm sitting at my desk in front of my computer. And I really liked your final verse, I think, was a perfect summary about what we just spoke. So I've learned a lot. Thank you very much for taking your time. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, thank you. And I really believe that the more people are getting into this field, the more we really win. And it's not about win-lose anymore. It's really, we can either win together or lose together, and it's much more fun to win. So I hope many people will join in and also win together. The game we have right now, which is really challenging to overcome the crisis, is a multiple crisis we have, but this is only possible by a real transformation, by a new setup of our economy. But that's something I think we now already know from the news. And I do hope that the politicians will find the right frameworks and support for this, so that we really get some support for this transformation also from the side of politics.
Yeah, I agree. And telling for myself and DKV Mobility, we are definitely into it. And yeah, really looking forward also from a very positive mindset to the energy transition.
Very important. Keep positive.